and so on anyway. Alright, so if we go to either Edit, Object Properties, or on a machine that you haven't changed the defaults to, it's Control T, is Edit, passes the properties. In the list right here, yours might default to Object, and in the list we can go down to Edge Softening. Now this is assuming that the Edge Softening plugin is installed, which you'd have to see my other video on actually doing this. If we turn this on, then we can immediately see that the edge is softened, and we can come back and change this. So if we go 0.3 and hit enter and then click off the object, you'll see it change. Okay, and so what we can do is, let's go ahead and move this and make a copy here and maybe a copy here, and we'll come over to this one. You see it doesn't have, it's not this object anymore, so it doesn't have any settings. We can click here and make this one back to 0.1, and this one over here we'll go back to up to let's say 5, or maybe even 0.6. Well, okay, so that these have different levels of edge softening applied to them. Now we'll go ahead and just select these, and I'll give these a quick material. I'll just make them, let's say, blue plastic, and we'll go ahead and render this. So it says with the edge softening on, it says pick the objects that you want to have edge softened, and there they go. And as you can see, each one has its own level. You can really see it here. There's 0.6, 0.3, and 0.1. So each one retains its own individual edge softening. Now, one thing that I've found, and this is just at the time of doing this video, the edge softening is a tool that they're working on, and at the time of making this video it may not even be completely done yet, but we are trying to take advantage of it. And here's something that I learned in working with this. You will notice that if we type the word options and go to the options page and then come over here to the mesh setting, I'm on custom and I'm on 0.8, and this is our default, for our mesh setting. And I can drive this all the way up to 1 if I want to make a smoother mesh. Now, using that method, we found that you can still change this and have it work. However, sometimes to get a tighter mesh than even this, or a finer mesh, I like to come down to maximum distance edge to surface and put 0.02 in it, at which point I would get rid of this value. Okay, and I'll even get rid of simple planes. Alright, so all I have on is refined mesh and maximum distance edge to surface. So now, when I say OK, it generates that mesh. Okay, and let's see how this one acts, because there's even another way that I like to do this. So now let's go up to 0.5, hit enter, and then click off it. Okay, that still works. Alright, now let's go to another method. Okay, and that method is 0 here, and maximum edge length 0.2. Now the reason I pick this one sometimes is because you'll notice that this edge actually gets a little wavy, like it's more here than it is here, and you'll see that it dips in right there because of that. And the idea here is that this type of method actually goes and it makes a more uniform mesh like it'd be 0.2 millimeters this way and this way, so it'd be a really tight mesh. And let's go ahead and see here. We'll click this and go back to 0.1, enter, and click over here, and it works. 0.5. Yeah, there we go. Now it doesn't work anymore. So I'm sitting here trying to make this higher. There we go. I thought the video was going to make a liar out of me. There. Now it's lost it. It can't do it. But if we go back to our mesh and maybe put this at 0 and put it at 1. Okay. Yeah, let's hit enter there and enter there, and it's now lost it. So you have to be careful what setting you're using for your mesh settings. So let's go ahead and render this one. There it goes. Now, here's what I'm talking about with why I want this mesh. If you watch really close when it makes the render, okay, you can see that it degraded that image quite a bit, and that's the whole reason that I wanted to come over here and go to edge softening. Let's change the mesh setting. So options, and that's what I do. I just type it usually. So let's go back here and go 0 and maximum edge length 0.2. Okay. And we're at 1, so a high setting. So when we hit render and it says pick the one you want, hit enter. Okay, you can see the mesh is real tight. See it over here? But you can also see that it can't hold the value for the softening. So if we go back to options, I think I've made this point now, but I'm just trying to get across what right now is happening at the time of making this video, what you have to watch out for, if this will save somebody from having trouble thinking it's broke. Alright, so now we're back to 1. Okay, so we click off it. Yeah, see, I don't see it coming back, but if we hit render, pick this, yeah, there it goes. But that setting is too much for this to maintain at that value. So I guess the last thing that we would try is go in maximum distance edge to surface at 0.2 again and saying OK. And edge softening on this object is 1, so we hit render, click here, hit, yeah, so it's still messing it up. Alright, now, so there's what you need to look out for with that. Having said all that, the other thing that I would like to address is what happens when objects disappear. Okay, so here's a model that I have that I know will fail on the generating the soften mesh. So if I click on the big huge mesh here and go to Control T and go to edge softening and turn it on, and then wait just a moment here. When I click off it, oh yeah, it's freaking out because it's a big model. Okay, what actually happens is you can see the model is still shaded. The gems are shaded. The the mill grain is shaded, and yet the model is not shaded. And that's because the mesh that gets generated to do the softening has failed. And there's not a darn thing I can do about it. It's just the way that this works. Okay, I can go 0.2. I can try different settings, and as you can see, that isn't going to help. And if I actually turn off, and the minute that I turn it off, boom, the model comes back, and it's back there. Now, when it does work, okay, here's what else is going on. Let's get rid of this. And what you can do is, if you want to hang on to whatever it produces for whatever reason, maybe for doing a render or whatever, you can go to soften, or here, let's do this. Let's go here, edge softening is on, and let's make this something that we can see. Hopefully this is all worth this movie. Alright, there we go. Then we can go to extract softened edge mesh. Okay, so we can click that, and there is the actual model that was made by the soften edge. So in other words, if we come back here and turn this off, there's the original NURBS model, and here's the mesh that was done from that. Okay, also, if we mesh this, alright, let's go ahead and do this. Alright, so there's there's the original model. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so there's the just a meshed model. Okay, then we can come over here and go soften mesh edges, and the softening is set to 1, and we can hit enter. Now of course it's pretty aggressive, but let's go ahead and try mesh, and let's go delete that to 0, and let's go maximum edge length, and let's try my 0.2 that I've been trying to. Alright, there's a very even mesh with lots of information. So now we'll take that mesh and move it over here. Let's nuke this one. There we go. And we can go soften mesh edges, and let's go 0.5. Alright, so there it went ahead and failed. that is not 0.5. This was this was right here. So it's having trouble with that kind of mesh, as you can see, because there's 0.5, and that wasn't. That was 0.1. So, but extract soften edge mesh right there. We'll get you the mesh from that if you want to use it in another program or do something. And soften mesh edge is the other command that you can run. But otherwise, that's how you can get that to do your own settings using our V-Ray render builder. I hope this made sense.